Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting out war against the grey. Today's video, we're going to talk getting started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Today we're going to take a look at the Soulblight Gravelords, and in particular, the Avengorii Dynasty. Now we're going to go through the special rules that make the Avengorii Dynasty special for the Soulblight Gravelords before looking at a couple of units we recommend to get started with for this particular subfaction. We'll then take a look at a couple of other units we recommend to expand upon after those first couple of initial purchases, and finally finish off the video with a little sample 1000 point army list for you to use as an inspiration for starting your own Soulblight Gravelords army using the Avengorii Dynasty for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And so, to begin with, first of all, we get the Cursed Abominations rule. Once per turn, at the start of the combat phase, you can pick one friendly Avengorii monster within 3 inches of an enemy unit. Until the end of that phase, you can use the top row of that monster's damage table regardless of how many wounds it has suffered. This is pretty cool. It means your monsters fight more often at their best strength, which is just really useful for an army that is going to allow us to take both Terrorgheist and Zombie Dragons, the unmounted versions, as battle line options. Now, in addition to that, we also have Titans of the Grave, which will give us 2 additional Monstrous Rampages that we can use with our Avengorii monsters instead of any other Monstrous Rampage we would normally be eligible to use, though we still can obviously use those regular ones like Roar and all of that as well. The first of these is Maddening Hunger. You pick D3 different enemy units within 1 inch of this unit and roll a dice for each model of those enemy models you've picked. If the roll is greater than that model's wounds characteristic, it's slain. This is really cool. This is sort of like things like the Star Drake can do with its Swallow Whole ability. Gargants can do something very similar where they pick up and stuff in bag and all that sort of stuff. The fact that this is a Monstrous Rampage is really cool. This can be great against other armies that rely on their characters in their units. Particularly looking at things like Lumineth, where the unit leader of a lot of the Avengorii units is actually the wizard, or even Hecatosses in Ossiarch Bone Reapers, banners and all of that. There are certain Stormcast units that have particular hornblowers in them that are the ones that allow them to rally on a 5+. Stuff like that is all really useful to be picked out with Maddening Hunger. You also then have Unstoppable Nightmare as well, where until the end of the following combat phase, the first time a different friendly Avengorii unit within 6 inch of this unit is destroyed, this unit can immediately fight after the last slain model in the destroyed unit has been removed from play. This is pretty cool. So this is just going to allow you to get some extra fighting in. So effectively, if one of your Avengorii units is destroyed, it can fight before it's removed, which is really cool. And so, looking at where to start, of course, we are going to talk about Lauka Vai, the mother of nightmares herself. Now, she has 11 wounds and a 3-up save, 12-inch move with fly and bravery 10. She's also a War Master when she's included in a Soulblight Gravelords army, and she's a 1-cast and unbind wizard. Her spell is actually really cool. She has the Queen's Diktat. What this does is casting a value of 6, range of 24, and to successfully cast, you pick an enemy unit within range and visible to the caster. Until your next hero phase, friendly Avengorii monsters are eligible to fight in the combat phase if they are within 6 inch of that enemy unit instead of 3. And they can move an extra 3 inch when they pile in as well. This is just really solid. Stops things like Unleash Hell being able to be used against you and all of that can really damage some of your monsters. Now, she's also got Nightmare's Miasma, where an enemy unit within 3 inch of any friendly models or with this ability or worsen their Ren characteristic of their melee weapons by 1, and a Queen amongst monsters, where once per turn at the end of your charge phase, she can pick a friendly Avengorii monster hollow within 12 inch. This could be herself, and you can carry out 2 different Monstrous Rampages with that monster in that phase instead of 1, which could be the 2 we've just talked about previously. Now, she does have a decent fighting profile, 5 attacks with her as Kurga Rapier, 3s and 3s, Ren -2, damage 2, and the Gorge Wrench Talons will put another 3 attacks at 3s, 2s, Ren 2, damage 3. Her Impaling Talon will add another d6 attacks at 4s and 4s, Ren 1, damage 1 for a little bit of extra damage in there. But all in all, she's pretty darn deadly, and she's got some really cool abilities to bring to your force. Now, joining with her, we have the Terrorgheist. Now, like I said at the start of the video in the previous slide, that you can include Terrorgheist and Zombie Dragons, the unmounted versions, as battle line option. They lose the Behemoth rule, so you can fill out as many of these monsters as you want. The Terrorgheist is my favourite. 14 wounds, 4+ save, and its Death Streak ability. You don't use the normal attack sequence when you're using Death Streak. Instead, you roll a dice and add the Death Streak value shown on the damage table, which will be a +6 to begin with, and add the Death Streak's value to show. And if the total is higher than the target unit's bravery characteristic, they'll suffer a number of mortal wounds equal to the difference. So this can be pretty good because a lot of things are low bravery out there, unless you're playing other death or demons or Seraphon. A lot of things are going to be suffering a few mortal wounds from this, and especially against things like grots or a lot of the destruction in general, actually, where they have very low bravery. This could be a really powerful ability. It's also got a decent fighting profile. Fang Maw puts out 3 attacks, 4s and 3s, Ren -2 damage d6, and if the unmodified hit roll for an attack with its Fang Maw is at 6, the target will suffer 6 mortal wounds, and the attack sequence will end. On top of that, you've got 7 attacks at top bracket with your Skeletal Talons, 4s and 3s, Ren 1 damage 2. The model also, when it's removed from play, will do some mortal wounds to enemy units around it as well. And so, next up we have the Zombie Dragon, the other big monster we can bring along as a battle line option for our Avengorii force. The Zombie Dragon has its Pestilential Breath, d6 attacks, 3s and 3s, Ren 1 damage 3, so that can spike really high for some decent damage. Now, you've also got Snapping Maw and the Sword-like Claws, very similar in damage, though no 6 mortal wounds coming out of it like the Terrorgheist will, but it does have Loathsome Descent, where during deployment, instead of setting up the unit on the battlefield, you can actually put them out off the table, which is really cool. They also have the Terror rule, where enemy units can't receive the Inspiring Presence command within 3 inch of this model, so some cool abilities in there. Now, the other model we can bring in that's a monster is the Avengori Lord. This is the generic version of effectively what Lauka Vai is. Avengori Lord will have the Nightmare Miasma for the -1 worsening of rend of melee weapons around 3 inch. You've got Hunger, like all vampires, where if they do wounds, they can heal the number of wounds equal to the amount of wounds they cause. And then you've got its own spell, which will be Cursed Reflection. Casting value 5, range of 24 inch, and you can pick a friendly Avengorii monster or Soulblight Gravelords monster, and that model can use the Hunger as if it were a vampire. So pretty cool to help heal your Terrorgheist up. Festering Feast is another ability where once per turn at the end of the combat phase, you can pick a friendly Soulblight Gravelords monster that's not a hero, hollow within 12 inch. You can heal all wounds allocated to that monster as well. So some really cool abilities you can play around with. Now, the other unit that actually becomes battle line in an Avengorii force are the Vargheists, which are a really fun unit to bring in. They're definitely going to give you some options in how you play with battle line for the force. They've got their Murderous Fangs and Talons, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, Ren 1 damage 2. A modified hit rolls of a 6 will inflict 2 hit rolls and 2 wound rolls instead of 1. They've got the Hunger, so they can heal like vampires they are. And Death's Descent, very similar to that Terrorgheist, they can deploy off the table. Lastly, we have Deadwalker Zombies, and I think this could apply to really any of those sort of baseline troops. Could be Direwolves, could be Death Router Skeletons, Deadwalker Zombies, any of them there really. Bringing units like this to the table, what they're going to provide you with is bodies. You are going to lack bodies on the ground, and while you're going to have some very deadly pieces on the table, having bodies to claim objectives could be a really useful thing to bring to your force. And also, they can provide you with some cheaper battle line options to help, especially in those early stages of building your army, get that army on the table nice and quick. And so here we have our sample army list, obviously going with the Avengorii Dynasty. We've gone with the Mortal Ger, and our grand strategy is going to be Crimson Larder. This is a really fun grand strategy for the Soulblight Gravelords. I really like it. Effectively, you have to kill all your enemy's heroes, but then you have to have the only heroes remaining in your army be Soulblight Vampire units, which, seeing as we've only got Vampire heroes, it's a really easy one. Now, it should be noted as well, and currently you don't actually have to have any Soulblight Vampires surviving to get the grand strategy. Just means if there are any surviving, they have to be vampires. We're 5 points under, so unlikely we're ever going to get a triumph, but we have gone for Inspired for +1 a wound. We then have our Avengori Lord, who's going to be our general, and we've gone with the Monstrous Might command trait on the model. What this does is subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target Avengorii monsters hollow within 12 inches of the general, which will include the Avengori Lord himself. Artifact-wise, we've got Gorvar's Collar, once per game ability for the artifact here that will allow us to have always strikes first. We've then also got the Universal Spell on the Avengori Lord for Flaming Weapon, +1 damage on one of his weapons. Lauka Vai, Mother of Nightmares, is in the force as well, and we've got Vile Transference on her for some healing and doing some damage to enemy monsters. We then have a battle line of 20 Deadwalker Zombies providing us with an objective holding unit, and then a Terrorgheist in there as well for another big monster. Lastly, everything is wrapped up in a Battle Regiment +1, so one of the Avengori Lord or Lauka Vai. Generally, I think Lauka Vai probably goes in the battalion because she provides the most buffs to that Terrorgheist. The Avengori Lord can sort of do his own thing with Flaming Weapon. This will mean we're a 2-drop force, 995 out of 1,000 points, a really fun, different Soulblight Gravelords army to play with. If you've got some ideas for a Soulblight Gravelords force using the Avengorii Dynasty, let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And so that is the end of the video. We hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, drop us a comment down below letting us know what you thought about the video as well. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our great little community here at Sinful Gaming, we have a Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description, and also linked in the video's description are the best ways to help support the channel. This can either be by grabbing some channel merch, by going to our Ko-fi store or our Teespring store, or by grabbing some dice from somewhere like the Baron of Dice, where we are sponsored by such a company, or you can go help directly support us by Patreon or YouTube members as well. All of those things are linked down in the video's description. As a special thank you to everyone who does support via Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give you all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons, Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lowe, Alderon Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Cure Dynamic, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Benjamin Swallows, Red Martin, Iron Grinch, Colorblind Magic, Grimscold, and Andy C. And to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Ronya, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Revenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty Stabletop Terrain, Davis Weir, James Tillman, Gargamel196, Disco, and John Castle. Lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing channel artwork for us, and indeed to everyone who helps come on and do the battle reports, and indeed to everyone who helps keep our Discord server a fantastic place for hobbyists to come chat. With that all said, everyone, thank you all for watching. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe, drop a comment down below. Stay safe, everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.